Hello, period 4. Today in class, we were going over the study guide that you completed for e-learning in detail. So if you are absent today, I suggest you watch the entire video, making sure you understand how to complete each problem, how I want you to write it, how I want you to solve it, how I want you to show your work. Okay? Test is looking just like the study guide, as always. Number 1 and 2, we are writing the word sentence as an inequality, not solving, just writing it as an inequality. The number y plus 2 greater than -5, that's it. S minus 2.4 is at least 8. At least would be greater than or equal to 8. 3 and 4, we're going to tell whether the given value is a solution of the inequality. So I need you to substitute right off the bat, then begin to solve. So is -16 less than -3? Yes. So a solution for P is -2. Number 4, we're going to substitute in -8 for Z and see if -8 is a solution for Z. Substitute first, then begin to solve. Is -6 greater than -4? No, -6 is less than -4. It's further to the left. So that one's a no. -8 is not a solution. Okay, for 5, 6, and 7, we are going to graph the inequality on the number line. Listen to me carefully. You don't see numbers on this graph. You have to add the numbers. Here's how I wish for you to do it. We're graphing x is less than -12. I want you to put -12 right in the middle, and then do one number below that, one number above that, to the left and to the right. Okay? You can continue filling out those last ones if you wish, but it's not necessary. Okay? Less than -12, that would be an open circle on 12, and your arrow should be pointing to the left because your variable's on the left, your inequality is pointing to the left. V is greater than 5/4. Okay? We should know that 5/4 is the same as 1 1/4. I'm going to put, here's where it gets a little tricky. I'm going to put just 1, 2, and 3 on the number line. And then 1 1/4 would be right here. You can label it 1 1/4. You can label it 5/4. I don't care. Open circle pointing to the right. And then we have a decimal, 4.2. So I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6. 4.2, I'm gonna label it, since it's not exactly on a line, less than or equal to. So this one would be a closed filled in circle pointing to the left. Okay. Solve the inequality, graph the solution. It says W plus 1, so I'm gonna subtract 1 from both sides. -3/4 minus 1, same sign, find the sum, lots of negatives. Okay, remember your variable has to go on the left. So we're going to flip the sign. So I have W is less than or equal to a -1 3/4. Oops, it's negative, so I'll do -1, -2, -3 is how I will fill out my 3 numbers on the number line. And then 1 3/4 would be almost to -2. Label it. It was less than or equal to, so I'm going to fill in that circle, and it's pointing to the left. Okay. Number 9, we're going to solve for y, so we're going to add 2 6/10 to both sides. Show your cancellation. Those are different signs, so I'm actually finding the difference. To get 0.8, there's more negatives, so it's a -0.8. Okay, so 8/10, and it's negative. I'm gonna do 0, 1, 2. So, I would need a -1, wouldn't I? Negative 8/10 would be almost to -1. It's going to be an open circle pointing to the left. Number 10, n plus 2. Do the inverse and subtract 2 from both sides. -6 minus 2, same sign, find the sum. Lots of negatives. -8. N is less than a -8. So I'm going to put -8, -7, -6, open circle pointing to the left. Alrighty. Some word problems. You plan to study at least 1.5 hours for a geography test. Write an inequality that represents the situation. At least means greater than or equal to 1.5 hours. Fitness test. Pay attention to number 12. You're going to have one just like this on the test. Number 1 up here correlates to number 1 on the line. Number 2 correlates to number 2. Number 3 correlates to number 3. The 3 requirements to pass a fitness test, okay, are you have to be able to jog at least 2 kilometers, perform 25 or more push-ups, and perform at least 10 pull-ups. Write and graph 3 inequalities that represent the requirements above. Number 1, jogging at least 2 kilometers would be, at least 2 would be greater than or equal to 2. And then we're going to graph that as well. So I'm going to put 2 in the middle. Greater than or equal to, we're closing that in, filling it in, pointing to the right. Second fitness requirement, perform 25 or more push-ups would be greater than or equal to 25 push-ups. I'll put 25 in the middle. Greater than or equal to, so that's going to be a closed dot to the right. Third step, you must be able to, requirement is perform at least 10 pull-ups. So, greater than or equal to 10 pull-ups. That's going to be a closed circle pointing to the right. Okay, so you will do the exact same thing on your test next week. Okay. I want you to write the inequality above or below and then graph it. So write and graph the 3. Okay, so those are literally 3 different problems. Okay, 13, you can jog 2,500 meters. You can perform 30 push-ups and perform 20 pull-ups. Do you satisfy the requirements of the test? Explain. So this is from that fitness test that we just did. So you can perform or you can jog 2,500 meters. So 2,500 meters is 2.5 kilometers. Okay, so that's greater than 2 kilometers. So check there. You performed 30 push-ups. Is 30 greater than, is 30 greater than or equal to 25? Yes. You can perform 20 pull-ups. You need to be able to do at least 10. So is 20 greater than or equal to 20? Yes. So do you satisfy? Yes. Okay. So you were able to pass the fitness test. So on the day of the test, you're just going to plug in each one of these for the requirements above and see if it satisfies. If one of them would have been a no, then obviously you wouldn't have passed. Okay, they all 3 have to satisfy it. Okay, solving the inequality, graph the solution. We're solving for x. Obviously, always solving for the variable. It says multiply by 2, so we're going to divide by 2 to solve for x. We don't divide fractions. We keep it, switch it, flip it. Positive times a negative is a negative. So x is greater than negative 3/10. Okay. I'm going to put negative 1, 0, positive 1, a negative 3/10. That's 0.5, so a little bit less than that. This is negative 3/10 or 0.3, however you wish to write it. Greater than, so it's an open circle pointing to the right. Number 15, I'm solving for z. Remember that negative? I would bring it down here. So z divided by a negative 8. So I'm going to do the inverse and multiply this side by a negative 8. Multiply this side by a negative 8. Positive times a negative is a negative. So I'm going to get a negative 12. Z is less than a negative. Ooh, go back, go back. I'm gonna put this in red, alert. I just multiplied by a negative, guys. And what happens when you multiply by a negative? You flip the sign, okay? Let me go back and do this again, okay? Multiply this side by a negative 8. Multiply this side by a negative 8. As soon as we multiply, we flip the sign. So we have z is greater than a negative 12. Okay, I'm glad I caught that. Here's negative 13, here's negative 12, here's negative 11. Z is greater than a negative 12, so that's going to be an open circle pointing to the right. Okay. Alrighty, let's look at 16. This would be a two-step inequality. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides to get 9 and divide by 3, so n is less than or equal to 3. Closed circle, since it's less than or equal to, pointing to the left. Number 17. We're going to undo addition and subtraction first. We're going to add 3.8 to both sides to get 1.3m by itself. Different signs, find the difference. There's more positive, so it's going to be a positive 2.6. Dividing by a positive, which should give me a positive. So it's just 26 divided by 13 once you move the decimal, which gives me 2. M is less than 2. Open circle, pointing to the left. Now you have to come up with the inequality and then solve. Quotient means division. The quotient of a number and 5 would look like that, is less than 4. Now we can solve by doing the inverse. We're going to multiply this side by 4, or both sides by 5. So n is less than 20. We don't have to graph this one, so just n is less than 20. 10 6 times a number, so 6x is at least greater than or equal to a negative 14 would be how we set this up. To solve, we're going to do the inverse and divide both sides by 6. Positive divided by a negative is a negative, and I'm going to say 2, which would be 12, and 2, 6. Simplified would be a negative 2 and a third. Solve the inequality, graph the solution. Obviously, I always want the variable by itself. This is a positive 4/7, so to get rid of it, we're going to subtract 4/7 from both sides. Y'all, this is leaving me with a negative b, which we do not want. -1/7 minus 4/7, same sign, find the sum, lots of negatives. It already had a common denominator. Okay, now on this one, you're gonna have to really focus for just a second. That's a -1b. I don't want a negative variable, guys. You have to get the negative out of there. So what you're gonna do is divide. I'm gonna go ahead and put the 1 there. You're gonna divide by -1, okay, to get a positive b. Now, because I divided by a negative, we're gonna flip the sign, and now a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So it's just a positive 5/7. Okay, so really, okay, it was originally this. It literally just, both of them became positives, and we flipped the sign. So I'm gonna put 0, 1, 2, 5/7 would be between the 0 and the 7. It's gonna be open, pointing to the left. You cannot have a negative variable, so you're gonna have to divide by a -1 and flip the inequality. You may want to rewind and listen to that again. 22, we're gonna add 6 to both sides. So I have z divided by a -2 is less than or equal to 4. Different signs, find the difference. This says z divided by a -2, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna multiply by a negative. What happens when you multiply by a negative? You flip the inequality. So I have z is greater than or equal to a -8. So -9, -8, -7, closed circle, points to the right. We're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So 3x is greater than 12. And we'll divide by 3 to get to our x by itself. That one was a simple one. X is greater than 4. Greater than, open circle, pointing to the right. 24, you are going to have to distribute. 1.2 times j is 1.2j. 1.2 times 3.5 is 4.2. Leave your work. I just don't have room. Okay, so now we've set up a two-step inequality. So we're going to undo addition and subtraction first. And then divide by 1.2 to both sides. 0.6 divided by 1.2, move the decimal once, move the decimal once. You have to add a 0, goes in 5 times, and bring that decimal straight up to get 0.5. So j is greater than 0.5. If I have 0, 1, 2, it's a half, open circle, because it's greater than, not including 0.5. All right, guys, almost done. You have $18 to buy peppers. Do you have more than that? No. Do you have exactly that? Yes. So you have $18 to buy peppers, meaning less than or equal to $18. Peppers are $1.50 each. Right, and solve an inequality that represents the number of peppers you can buy. So we'll divide both sides by $1.50. So once you solve that, you will get 12 peppers. You can buy less than or equal to 12 peppers. Remember, first number goes on the inside, 1.5 goes on the outside. You'll have to move that twice. Okay. You have a gift card worth $90. Okay. You want to buy several movies that are $12 each. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of movies you can buy and still have at least $30. At least meaning greater than or equal to 30 on the gift card. Okay. So you have a gift card. We're starting with $90. You want to buy several movies, so we're spending money. They're $12 each. Okay. For several movies that are $12 each. Okay, so we're starting with 90 minus, we're taking away 12 per movie, and we want to have at least 30 left on the gift card. Okay. We need to get 12x by itself, so we're going to get rid of this 90. That's a positive 90, so we're going to subtract 90 from both sides. That's going to leave us with a negative 60. And divide by a negative 12. Negative divided by negative is a positive 5. So you can get, I guess, nope, guys. I just divided by a negative, so that changes our inequality. You can get less than or equal to 5 movies, which made me think, because I was like, you can't do greater than 5. Okay, so that's where I'm glad I was thinking about that. So watch your inequality. You can get less than or equal to 5 movies and still have that $30 on your gift card. Okay. 27. Your class sells boxes of chocolates to raise $500 for a field trip. You earn $6.25 for each box. Write and solve an inequality of the number of boxes your class must sell to meet or exceed our goal. Our goal is 500, so to meet it or exceed it would be greater than or equal to 500 bucks. The boxes of chocolates are $6.25 per box. So there's my inequality. To solve, we're going to do the inverse and divide by $6.25. Remember, first number goes on the inside. Move the decimal twice, move the decimal twice. You've got a large inequality, long division to solve. You'll come up with, if you divide correctly, make sure you're practicing, 80 boxes of chocolates in order to meet or exceed your fundraising goal is what you have to sell. Okay, here's your fair game review that we did the other day in class, worksheet 16. Solve the equation and check. We're going to subtract 14.5 from both sides. These are equations, no longer inequalities. Different signs, find the difference. And there is more negative, so it's a negative 9.1. Okay, day of the test, negative 9.1 goes back in for here. And I need to see your actual work. So you're finding the difference again. And there's more positive, so it's a positive. Okay. 29, we're simplifying the expression. So we need to distribute first. 3 times 5, 15. 3 times a negative 2n is a negative 6n. Bring down that 9n, and then we can simplify, combine like terms. Negative 6n plus 9n, different signs, find the difference, is 3n plus 15. Okay, last two. This says multiply by 2/9, so I'm going to divide by 2/9. Divide by 2/9. We don't divide fractions, we keep it, switch it, flip it. Positive and a negative is a negative answer. So we have a negative 36. And 31, we need to distribute 2x plus 2 equals a negative 2. And then we can subtract 2 from both sides to get that 2x by itself. Same sign, find the sum, lots of negatives. That gives us a negative 4, and divide by 2. Positive and a negative is a negative answer. So I have x is equal to a negative 2. Alrighty, period 4, that was fast, but you have the opportunity to go back, review, re-listen, rework, okay? IXL and Canvas to get you prepared for the test. Email me